Welcome to English 302. I'm your professor, Paulette Stevenson, and this is our course introduction video. So encompassed in this video will be going over how the course works, including the syllabus and the Canvas shell. After you're done watching this video right here, you're going to want to watch the discussion video and review the syllabus in more detail. So let's get started. So to access our syllabus, you'll see this here in Canvas. Anything that has this little arrow here in Canvas, you can always right click to open a new tab, and a lot of times it'll open in the tab. If you just click on it directly, it'll give you this thing, like it needs to open in a new window, and then you have to click on it manually. There's just some weird stuff in Canvas like that. So let's take a look at the syllabus first. This is a B session class, so that means that it ends, it starts in the middle after spring break, and it ends just at the end of the semester, sorry. So I'm Paulette Stevenson. The best way to get a hold of me is via email. You can also use the messaging function in Canvas, so you can click this inbox and get a hold of me that way. I'm fine with answering either. My office hours are from 9:30 to noon Wednesdays, and 10:15 to 10:45 on Fridays. As online students, you can certainly come visit me face-to-face in those two spaces. But I also encourage you to set up, but obviously if you don't live here or you can't access that space, I'm available to do an online meeting during either of those times. It's a real simple setup. So you just have to email me and let me know, like, hey, Professor Stevenson, I'd like to meet with you from at 11:30 on Wednesday, and I'll say for sure, and what I will do is I'll send you out a link to an online meeting room. So cool. So English 302 is an advanced interdisciplinary writing course designed to improve the workplace competence of W.P. Carey's School of Business professional and pre-professional students. So that's the subjects that we'll be dealing with. We'll be working on writing workplace writings and really thinking of complex rhetorical situations for workplace writing. So our textbook, which we won't rely on 100%, but we will definitely be using, is this online textbook here. You will also find it linked in the course information module right there. So it's there too. And I've definitely assigned it in places, but it is also a very good reference for questions that you have about the formats of technical writing. So you get there, you read book. Maybe it's, like I said, there's a lot of stuff here. Maybe I ask you to write something, but we don't actually completely cover it and you want to know more about it. The textbooks can also be used as a reference. So that is, beyond that, to take an online class, we assume that you have continuous internet access or can find yourself to continuous internet access. You have access to your ASU email account. I ask that you have a YouTube account, access to Google Docs through your ASU, and access to Canvas via ASU. And honestly, if you have a Google account, you have a YouTube account. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. So the way our class works is that the first project is the biggest in class. It is our UX report, and it is the most substantial report in class. But after that, we start kind of tapering down. So the next project is a memo that deals with the content from the UX or the research that you've done in the UX report. So project 1 and project 2 are linked. The third project is a video presentation, and then the final project is a website. I ask you to put together topic proposals for your first couple of projects. The other thing that we do in the class the primary way that we participate are in discussions, and there are 6 major discussions. So your introduction discussions, and then 5 content area discussions. You turn in rough drafts for each project. You do peer reviews for each project, and then at the end of the semester, you do a final reflection. And so some of the stuff. So I have this FAQ. If you have any really weird questions about like, hey, what does an online class look like? This FAQ will help you understand what an online class looks like, but also what my online class looks like. Other people's online classes might look different, and that's okay. It would actually be a poor thing if we all designed our online classes to be 100% the same, because every professor comes from a different discipline and a different pedagogical background. So this all works out. So so that's the FAQ. Take a couple minutes to read those on your own. But I want to go over the policies. So in an online class, you are allowed to miss 4 classes. And what that means, because we don't show up face-to-face at all, it means you're allowed to miss 4 assignments. So 4, like 4 discussion boards, 4, a combination of maybe it's just you missed a couple discussion boards and rough drafts, which is actually a lot for our class. When you're missing those projects, you're also missing points, and that probably will hurt you more than the actual absences. So on the 5th absence, you automatically fail the class. So that's something to note. This isn't a self-paced class. This is a class that has things due at specific times. Working ahead can be kind of difficult because our class moves at the same pace with each other. So you just have to stay on top of some of the stuff. So attendance is important. Grading are full letter grades. Anything that you write for this class, you should consider public. And by that, I mean that you're going to share it with myself in the class, not the rest of the world. I don't accept late work. For instance, maybe you're like, Professor Stevenson, I missed this discussion. The discussions aren't static things. They're dynamic things. They happen and they're over. So in a very small handful of students, I will have a student come and say, hey, Professor Stevenson, I missed the first 3 discussions. Can I make them up? There's always one person who just falls off the map. And I say no. Okay, so if you're having a personal problem or a family problem, what I've told students is to let me know in advance, like as it's happening, like, hey, I'm having this issue. I need an extra day on this. Asking for an extension is different than asking to turn something in late. Okay. The only thing that I will accept late is the major writing project, and that's just a policy thing. My department makes you turn in all 4 projects to pass the class, so I have to allow you to turn those. I have to give you the shot to turn those in. But the problem with that is that every day it's late. It's docked a letter grade. So unless you run into big problems, which you should email me about, I suggest really just making sure that you look at the syllabus and sticking to it. It doesn't change very frequently, and it's there. So the syllabus is your reference. It's your guide. It's mapped out for all semester. Sometimes I have students who just literally take the days and import them into their calendars, and that way you have a really good reminder of what to do. To pass this class, all major writing assignments must be submitted, and that means all 4 major projects. Academic dishonesty is a real serious thing. Disruptive, threatening behavior, like the content of online discussions in this class isn't very controversial, so I expect I expect you all to behave appropriately. And if there was an issue about the content on our discussion boards, Maybe I'm not seeing it. So make sure you send me an email and say, hey, Professor Stevenson, like especially right as you see it, so I can quash anything bad that's happening. I'm not anticipating this is going to happen, but just in case, if you're registered with the DRC, they will send me information, and then I will work with accommodating you at their request. At the end of the semester, we have to put together this Digication portfolio. Good news for you is that's actually what we're going to do for our website, so you won't have to do anything extra. Okay. And so this is what our course schedule looks like. It's a lot. We're cramming, again, 16 weeks of instruction and 4 major projects into this. So you'll notice that things are due Monday nights by midnight, Wednesday nights, and Friday. And there's kind of a rhythm to the class. So that's what you should expect. So the first Monday, you're going to read all of these things, and then everybody's going to participate in this introduction discussion. And then Wednesday, everyone's going to read all this stuff. And the only people that will participate this are the discussion leaders. And so the way to find out who the discussion leaders are is to go to the course information. And this document, which I am going to populate this week, will have the discussion leaders. So it will say, normally there's about 3 discussion leaders. Half of the class will be linkers and half of the class will be repliers. So again, I am going to populate this now, basically, but that will be the discussion schedule. So the way the discussion works, and there's a whole nother video on this, so I'm not going to get too in depth, is that a discussion leaders will record a video on some sort of recording technology and upload it to Canvas. The easiest way I found students to do this is to record it and upload it to YouTube. There's a sample discussion leader video. I'm not asking for you to put like a crazy presentation together. I'm asking you to read the discussion and start us off. You're asking the class questions for the discussion, and it also brings an element of your faces in here. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to actually turn the camera on yourself, if at all possible. And I'm okay if these discussion leader videos are low production. Again, I have a whole nother video on this. But that's the person who starts off the discussion. And then so on Friday, we'll have everyone else in the class will have watched the discussion leader videos, and they'll decide who they want to reply to or link to. And based on your role, a linker and a replier are different, and again, that's in the next video. You'll do your discussion that way. And so that's one whole discussion, and the discussion space in Canvas is here. So you'll click on discussion 1. The leaders will start us off. They'll just say, here's my leader video, and they can do this. And they can link to it and copy and paste. And then the repliers, once it's up, will hit reply to the discussion. So that's the first discussion. And then we have 5. Beyond the real first discussion of the class is the introduction discussion, which everyone will do on the same day on the first day of class. But then after that, we have 5 discussions throughout the semester. And at the end, we have an extra credit discussion. So the good news is that say you messed up and you missed a discussion, there is an extra credit discussion built in to help you out in that. So you don't have to be, I would definitely make sure that I'm doing my work for the class, but you don't have to, if you have an oh crap moment where you completely forget to do it, there is a small built-in cushion here with this extra credit discussion, and students really find that helpful. And then we go through a couple of those, and then so this is what Canvas looks like. So here's the course information, all the required information for the course, the reference, the syllabus, the discussion schedule, The introduction videos, the discussion boards are all right here. And then all the information for project one is here. You have the assignment sheet. And the way that my projects work is that there's an assignment sheet that explains everything about the project. And to open these up in a new window, you just have to click up here. But assignment sheet one tells you everything about the project in and of itself. Okay. And then there's on project number one, there's a proposal. There's a rough draft. So this is a space, it's actually a Google Drive folder where you turn in your rough draft. And then this document here is a peer review document. It explains the peer review process. Here's a sample project one. So if you were really confused about what was into project one, there's a sample from an old student. There's also the grading rubric. So this is exactly what I use when I grade your project. And this is where you turn in the final. And all of the other projects, although they're different projects, kind of fall in the same. There's an assignment sheet, a rough draft, a peer review document, a couple of samples, a rubric, and a final. And it goes all the way until project number 4. The last thing that we do for the class is this final reflection. And then the readings, any reading that isn't listed on your syllabus and linked. So for instance, right, the first reading isn't linked. You're like, oh crap, where do I find that? Well, you go to the course modules and it's right there. And then the final thing is the lectures. So on the syllabus, right, it says watch what is ProTechCom lecture, and that is down here too. What is ProTechCom? And it's a video and it'll pop up and you can watch that. The bottom thing are writing resources. So if you need help with, writing tuners are at ASU's Writing Center. Purdue OWL has a resource for professional and technical writing. There's the APA style guide through Purdue OWL. And then there's another professional and technical communications chapter in a textbook. So these are really great resources for you. And that's really kind of how our course works. The other thing that I failed to mention is that this thing is called the Cyber Cafe. What I would like you all as students to do is, if you have a question about kind of the nuts and bolts of the class, which I'm expecting that some of you might, especially in the first week of class, is that you ask it in the Cyber Cafe. Instead of just emailing me and saying, hey, Professor Stevens, I'm really confused about what we're supposed to do in the introduction discussion, ask it here. I also students can volunteer to answer those questions. Like, you see this and you know the answer. It really helps us out if you answer another student. If no one answers these questions, I will chime in 24 hours. And this is something I definitely watch for, especially the first week, but all semester, because I'm anticipating that these questions come up. The good news is that if you ask your question on a public forum like this, where everyone can see, most often it helps somebody else in the class because they had the same question. And so it clears up a lot of stuff. So that's what I would like you to do. Obviously, if you have a personal question, like you need an extension, or you want to set up a meeting, or you have a question about a grade, absolutely send me an email or a Canvas message. But if you have something that you think would be more useful to everyone, I would really like you to put it in the Cyber Cafe instead. So, cool. So that's basically it. So honestly, after you've gone through the syllabus in more detail and really hit this FAQ section, because I think that's an important one. So really hit this FAQ section because it kind of breaks down some stuff. And then, you do that. You hit the course and introduction videos. So you hit the discussion video and you sample leader. You should also check the discussion schedule and see when you're scheduled to be a discussion leader so that you can note that for yourself in the discussion schedule. And then after that, start the introduction discussion because that's due the first Monday, March 11th, Monday night. But after that, if you still have any lingering questions about how the class works, that's where I want you on. Is I want you in the cyber cafe. I want you to just look in there too. Check it sometimes. Maybe you do have one of those questions and you were thinking like maybe I'll email Professor Stevenson, but if you look in there, that knowledge might already be available. Somebody else might have already asked it and it already might have been answered. So, um, so what I will do is what basically the way the class works week by week is on over the weekend as need be, I guess, probably in between projects, in between the rough draft and the final for projects, I'll record these wrap up videos where, again, just like your discussion leaderboard, I'll just turn the camera on me and I'll talk about the stuff in the class and I'll update us somewhere between 5 or 10 minutes just so that you get a sense of what's going on. But I read your rough drafts, I give you feedback on them, and then you are able to obviously get a good sense of what you need to do for a project to turn it in and be really satisfied with it. So I think there's a lot of really good built-in help and interaction so that you don't need to feel like you're completely on your own. So, with that said, like I said, the next place I want you to do is I want you to watch the discussion videos, and then I want you to, there's the sample leader video. If you're a leader for discussion 1, it's probably a pretty important one to watch. Otherwise, definitely take a look at it before you're the leader. So awesome. So a couple of things about me before I leave. Personally, I'm Paulette Stevenson. I've been at ASU since 2007. I mainly teach professional and technical writing here. And my professional writing is really kind of bent towards the technical. So you'll see our projects really hinge on thinking about weird stuff like user experience and experience architecture, but in rhetorically informed ways so that you can start thinking about those things for your workplace as you get there. I've lived in Arizona since 2000. Before that, I lived in the Midwest. I have a husband, a 13-year-old son, and 2 toddler daughters at 4 and 2. I enjoy hiking and running. A little fun factoid about myself is that I broke my ankle in October, and I ran my first step last week. So I was non-weight bearing for 10 weeks, and it was not fun, but I'm back at it. So doing the things that I enjoy. So any questions, comments, confusion about the course? Post them to the Cyber Cafe. Otherwise, I'm excited to go through this short semester with you. Thank you.